Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. Whoo, boy. Yep, the only reason I am doing this podcast right now, real talk, the only reason I'm doing this podcast right now is so that I can say I did an episode in the month of March. I don't have time. I feel awful right now. Awful. Voiding out both ends for the last 72 hours, and I just, I don't know, I happened to just glance at the date, and I was like, oh my God, it's the 31st, and you have not done one show. What are you doing? You stopped mid-box set, you piece of garbage. Anyway, nobody cares. As you see on your screen, your dial, however, you are choosing to join me today. After getting in trouble with local gangs, a young man, played by Alexander Sheng, flees to San Francisco where the same gangs are still causing problems. He becomes a part of one gang and eventually decides to play them against each other in order to clean up the town. The town, San Francisco Chinatown. It is the Chinatown Kid. Chinatown Kid, starring Alexander Sheng. Sun Chien, who plays Chien Wan. Sun Chien plays one of our main characters, Phillip Kwok, who plays the White Dragon boss, and Meng, who plays the Green Dragon boss. Yes, White Dragon and Green Dragon. They actually don't like each other. That's not confusing at all. You got Shirley, who plays Lena. You got Susan Yam Shaw, who plays Xinhua. And then, we have some of our major players from a lot of the films that I've already discussed, like Wang Lung-Wei, who plays Chu Hao. I was just completely, so the next few episodes are going to be crap, so, whatever, you're just going to have to bear with me, but I was thinking, Meng Lo and Phillip Kwok, they still work today. Actually, Phillip Kwok's in one of my favorite action films of all time, Hard Boiled. John Woo, Hard Boiled. Anyway, I was thinking, so Wang Lung-Wei, who is usually one of the villains, a Shaw Brothers staple as a villain, he actually quit. He's still alive. He quit acting in 2000, though. And it's like, man, and obviously I have no idea. Maybe he's health issues or just plain old and doesn't want to do it anymore, whatever the fucking case maybe is. I still think he would be a formidable villain these days. Even if he is old, I'm not asking him to fight or anything. I just think it would be cool to see him as a villain because in this one he is just as ruthless, but I think it was kind of cool to see him almost as like a B gangster. There's actually guns in this film, and we'll get to that a little bit later. I'll probably go through the movie a little bit, but he's not. Most times he's powerful. It takes a lot to take. And it was cool to kind of see him as this sleazy gangster with his fucking stupid ass suit and his fucking gold necklace. Anyway, I was thinking about that when a few weeks ago when I was doing research. I was like, man, it would be awesome if we could get to see, or you know what? Maybe I'll bring him out of retirement. That'll be what the fuck I do. Wouldn't you know it? This film is written by who? Yes, if you listen to any of the fucking shows prior to this, I think this is. You know what? I don't even know. So Let's go to the tail of the tape. This would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th installment of this Shaw Brothers Shawscope Collection Volume 1. The 8th installment. If you've listened to any of them before, I don't think that there weren't any that weren't written by Kwok, who's written 220 some odd films. And now, teaming yet again with Cheh. And what did Cheh do? 95 films? 95 films. I feel this is, and I'm sure the scholar, and I'm bonkers right now. I've been sleeping fucking 18 hours a day, so please write in and tell me what a fuck I am. Can we say that this would be one of Cheh's most polished, one of his more polished films? Not his best film, not his fucking opus, nothing like that, but I think it would be fair to say that we've started to draw from Western influences at this point, and it works in the way that he does it. Now, there's a couple character building scenes that I was just kind of like, whatever. And in fact, I didn't have the time to watch both versions, because this particular Arrow release of Chinatown King has Jesus Christ, dude. Chinatown Kid has two versions. You got the international version, which is roughly an hour and 55 minutes long, and then you have, I believe, just the U.S. version, which was like 90 minutes long, and I haven't gone back to see what they cut out. If you've heard me talk on the show before, like I don't understand why we have different cuts of anything, to be honest with you. If this, like, I'm not saying that you don't need to trim some fat if you're a storyteller, whatever that means, editor, director, whatever, you need to trim some stuff up. But at the same time, like, I always just want to see the full vision, no matter what. I don't care if I'm sitting in the fucking theater for 9 hours. If it's good and the story's being told well, whatever. But I guarantee I go back and I watch that 90-minute version of Chinatown Kid, and I was just like, man, we missed the mark on a couple of things here. And for all of you that, I don't know why that, like, Lord of the Rings, the extended edition, kind of like kicked that off. Like, oh yeah, no, we want to see more. It's like, motherfucker. No, we wanted to see shit for a while now. Anyway, Chipuan, who's played by Chien, so there's a duality that exists in Chinatown Kid. Fu Sheng just can't seem to stay out of trouble, no matter how hard he fucking tries. He just can't seem to stay out of trouble. And then you have the opposite with Chinhuan. Actually, Tem Tong is played by Alexander Fu Sheng, and Chihuan is played by Sun Chien. So the duality is, you got one that's busting his hump in the same restaurant, sweating away, making no money, to try to put himself through school and start a new life in America. And Chihuan is doing all the right things, no matter how much harder no matter how much harder it seems, like when you compare it to Fu Sheng, which is kind of funny because if you look at the two, like, they both have a fucking tough go at it. Like they both like, whether you're slaving away at the dishes. Now I know one turns into a crime lord and the other one doesn't, but nevertheless, like, they both are busting their hump. And I would say that Tem Tong actually gets the short end of the stick, because he just keeps finding himself into these situations. Now, granted, he solves everything by fighting, and he can't be, if any of you guys saw the Oscars this weekend, then perhaps there's other ways to deal with this stuff. But I don't know. I just thought, I recall thinking somewhere through, I was like, yeah, it must suck working at that restaurant and living in the attic of the restaurant, and fucking it's still hot from all the cooking that went on, throughout the day. So it's just a cramped space. And then, like, Fu Sheng, as much as he tries, like, he really does have to fight his way out of the slums before he becomes a crime boss. And I think this thing ends like in the most Scarface thing ever, or Scarface way ending ever. And I didn't get a chance to listen to the commentary, but even like the aesthetic of it all, as we come to a close, it reminded me very Scarface-esque. And I know that Chinatown Kid came before the Al Pacino one, not the Paul Mooney one, which I actually, and people are going to be like, fuck you, that's fine. I actually think the original Scarface is a little bit better than the Pacino one for different reasons. Like, I think for whatever reason, the story hits a little bit truer to form for me, as opposed to, this massive. Both are fine. Anyway, let's back it up. Chinatown Kid, definitely, when it ended, I was like, man, this is Scarface as fuck right now. Or maybe I should be saying, like, when I see the ending of Scarface with Pacino, I should be saying, oh, this is Chinatown Kid as fuck right now. Maybe that's what you flip the perspective. You feel me? Anyway, so before Tam Tong arrives in San Francisco, him and his grandpa, who just met, they're basically slumming it up slumming it up and trying to make ends meet even when he's in his homeland. And Juhao actually starts off as like this guy that may help Fu Sheng. I mean, granted, he's a mobster, but he might help Fu Sheng. And it's all downhill after he meets Wang Lung-Wei's character, Juhao. Like, Juhao. It is just one bad thing after another. In fact, Juhao is plants some cocaine on him, which actually is what gets Tam Tung booted to San Francisco because, Tam Tung didn't help his situation because Juhao calls in, I think this guy's selling drugs, and when the cops stop him, like, Fu Sheng like punches the cops in the face, so you can't do that. But let's back up a little bit. The reason why Juhao, played by Wang Lung-Wei, planted the cocaine on him is because they fought a couple of times, and Fu Sheng beat that ass, which is actually kind of funny to think about because I think Alexander Fu Sheng was one of the only like major stars at Shaw Brothers that didn't have any formal martial arts training, no kung fu training at all. So everything that you're seeing is him just like learning, which I thought, for as well as Fu Sheng moves, you gotta hand it to the fucking guy. R.I.P. I think he died 28, 29, way too soon in a car accident. But anyway, Tam Tung beats the shit out of Juhao a couple of times, and because of this, he's basically now getting stalked on the streets by the other gang members. And the only reason I bring this up is to bring up the part where I'm curious to see if in the U.S. version, if they had the guy getting stabbed in the asshole for an alley fight scene. Speaking of fights, I think there's, 10 to 15 fights in this film, all fucking good, especially when you see like Phillip, Kwok, and Fu Sheng square off, or Meng and Fu Sheng. They just don't make them like they used to if we're talking kung fu films. Anyway, I feel like Ellis Cinema should bring up a time somebody gets stabbed in their asshole with a knife. So that's why we're here, because the best I can do for you is dick and fart jokes. Best I can do. So, anyway, so they go to San Fran and they start a new life. Or Fu Sheng starts a new life. Tam Tung starts a new life. And just as aforementioned of the White Dragon gang and the Green Dragon gang, it doesn't end well for the Fu Sheng. Does not end well. After him and Chien get the restaurant jobs, we meet the Green Tiger and the White Tiger leaders, and also what is his name? Wong Mo. He's got a hilarious red comb over. It had to be a toupee. After we meet all these people, they're because Tam Tung can fight, and of course he gets put in a couple of situations where he's got to back the. What kicks it off is Tam Tung punches the White Dragon leader in the face, played by Phillip Kwok. And that's Meng Lo. I'm sorry, played by Meng Lo. Actually, I got to double check because I was getting confused on who was the White Dragon. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Green Tiger. Tam Tung punches Huti Huang. That's his character's name. Meng Lo's character's name. And the fight ensues out into a street, which is really a beautifully choreographed fight sequence once they go out into the streets. But that's essentially the beginning of the end for Tam Tung, because now he's in San Francisco and he's messed with one of the bigger crime syndicates in Chinatown, and now they're just gunning for him. So once the White Dragon leader, Phillip Kwok, getting to him, once he finds out, he wants to know who this guy is. Who's this guy beating all this ass, and why isn't he on our team if he's beating up the fucking the Green Tiger gang? Why isn't he on our side? So naturally, he's being Tam Tung is being pulled between two different crime syndicates, and I'm not going to give away who he ends up siding with. We'll just say that he he does become a crime lord. What else do we got here? You know, what's another good fight is between Meng and Phillip Kwok. Shocker, I know, right? Those two legends going at it. But now, some time has passed. In fact, there's quite a few times that I wish that I don't need it. Maybe I'm, as the viewer, should be smarter than that. But I want to say there are 3 to 5 different. No, not 5. 3 for sure. Time changes in this film where a lot of time has passed. In fact, the last one has got to be maybe like a year. It's tough telling. But like, especially once Tem Tong becomes a crime lord, like the transition from him accepting the job or a job, quote unquote. And then the next thing we know, he's dressing all fancy pants and everything. But there's indication that a lot of time has passed. So we don't get like a 3 years later though. Nothing like that. So now that I'm hearing myself talk about it out loud, I'm the fucking dumb one, plain and simple. We prior to the, maybe there was some things that I would have cut out of the international version, like him kind of acclimating to America. I felt like we maybe hit that a little bit hard, and I think the only reason that I'm being negative right now is because I just want to go home. I don't want to be on the mic right now. I don't want to be tap dancing for the man. But maybe that's the other. But those are the sequences that I would cut down, like him learning. I would have kept him learning about hot dogs, which I think is referred to as dog meat sandwiches or dog meat something or other. Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, right. That's true. They do eat dogs back then. Do they still eat dogs? Or am I fake newsing right now? Anyway, there was a little building in that. In fact, like I almost thought, even though that Tam Tong, Alexander Fusheng, is the main the main focus of the film, I do think we could have elected to explore Huan's character a little bit more. I think that would have been a service to me for me to care more in the end. And again, no spoilers, you'll have to see for yourself. But and this one actually is really good. I'm kind of bummed that I feel the way that I do right now, because this film actually deserves way more exclamation in its in talking about it, because to me it's one of the better told epics that you're going to see coming out of the East, at least around that time. And here I am, I feel like a garbage, and I'm not selling it the way that I should, when this, in fact, I mean, if the box set wasn't so fucking strong, I mean, like, King Boxer is legendary. The Boxer of Shentong is legendary. Shaolin Masters and Shaolin Temple, good in their own rights. We're going to skip over Mighty Peking Man. But Challenge of the Masters and Executioners from Shaolin also, like, these are legendary pictures. And I think Chinatown Kid, maybe it's just because I'm removed from it, like I'm not in the East to see, like, oh yeah, dude, fucking Chinatown Kid's like our Godfather, like I don't know if that's the take or not, but I feel like we should be talking about this one a little bit more than we should, or maybe because I think this would be like the third time I saw it. Like, I watched it many years ago, and I remember, actually, even when I watched it many years ago, I think I was just I didn't receive it the way that it should, and I wonder which version I watched. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe I did see the U.S. version. But I remember thinking when I was watching, I don't care right now, which typically means I think when I was going through the Shaw Brothers, we're talking I want to say almost 8 months, and I wish I could ask my ex, because she would probably know better than me, because she would be like, yes, it was so grueling, that's all you ever had on. But then, the real talk, for like 8 months, I would say 99% of what I had on TV was a kung fu film for like 8 to 9 months years ago. And that's a lot of kung fu. And I think when I finally got to Chinatown Kid, I was just like, oh, I'm burnt out. Plus, like, I was coming off of like some awesome ones, like 5 Element Ninjas and fucking, like, I I was being spoiled. And then when I got to and you know, now that I'm thinking about it, Sheng took kind of it took me a while for him to grow on, or it took him a while to grow on me. I think because up until that point, and that just shows you I'm a piece of garbage fucking viewer, but up the ones that I had seen, he is definitely the idiot, you know. And I wonder if when I first sat down to watch Chinatown Kid, years and years ago, if I was just like, oh, you're so annoying. But now I think that I've, you know, devoted even more time to especially like the research, because like the bonus features on this are fucking awesome. So, you know, you get to learn a little bit more. And obviously I'm unaware if I knew of the tragedy that took Alexander Sheng too soon. I wonder if, you know, I knew about that years ago. I'm going to wager to say I didn't. I think I wasn't concerned so much with the research. I was just like, oh my God, I've stumbled upon a gold mine that has existed long before I came into the world, and I have been paying it no mind. And now, here we are. I've talked to a couple of my idols in the martial arts cinema category, and so I digress. I do think this is one of the better, higher production value Shaw Brother films. I really do, because the scale feels so much more grand. And maybe again, me being a dumb as fuck viewer, maybe it's just because we switched countries, so now I think the scale was bigger. But I do believe that the film itself felt a lot bigger than, say, like, you know, a cult classic like Five Venoms. It's a big film, but I guess we're not drawing from these two different worlds that we are in Chinatown Kid. So, and tying that all back to Cheng Cheh, I know I've seen a lot of the films in his category, not close to all of them. I mean, he's got 95 films he's fucking directed, but I would wager to say, like, as far as, I don't know, I think filmmaking is pulling from the greats and making it your own, right? And I think whereas before Chinatown Kid, not that there weren't Western influences, of course there were, but I think it just stands more prominent in Chinatown Kid than it does some of his earlier releases. And I'm probably babbling, and it doesn't make any sense. Or the people that actually are kung fu aficionados are like, yeah, we fucking know, dude. Jesus Christ, get to your fucking point. Hey, I shit twice in the shower. Okay, that's how sick I've been. Nobody shits twice in the shower on purpose. Okay. Cut me some fucking slack. In fact, right now, even to like sound the way that I do right now, you know, this may be combative for some of you, but like, even right now, like, I have to try to sound like this. I have to, because as soon as this mic's off, I'm going to start. Now, that's what I'm going to go back to doing. That's what I'm going to go back to doing. Because once the mics turn on, the switch fucking just clicks, and I'm fucking, okay, it's game. But, you know, mediocre. If this was a baseball game, I'm losing by 12 right now. You know, like, that's how bad this is going. Because I can't even convey how much I truly enjoyed Chinatown Kid, not from the martial arts. I mean, of course, I love the kung fu. You had some of the choreography in this is still, again, better than 98% of what we see in the States right now. But the story as a whole, I feel like it's one of their more complete films. You know, even as much as I complain about trimming some of the Temtong getting acclimated to America, even if you trim some of that stuff, I feel like this is more of a story instead of a exercise on what we can do physically. Not that it isn't. We definitely get it. Like, I think the last fight sequence, like most Shaw Brother films, is anywhere from 9.5 to 12 minutes long. Like, it's great. It's so fucking great. And it's visceral in the sense that, like, sometimes when you get to the end of a Shaw Brothers film, like, you don't, like, okay, yeah, the bad guy died, and there's no, like, there's not a heavy attachment, right? In this one, I would argue, one of the more emotionally charged endings of a Shaw Brothers film. Oh, you've never seen one. I'm talking, if we're talking like the staples, you know what I'm saying? Fu Sheng, Wang Lung-Wei, fucking Gordon Liu. Like, if we're talking the staples, I do think this is one of the better endings that you're going to see in a Shaw Brothers film. And again, could be saying that just because fucking Scarface is, you know, kicking around in my head. But just don't mistake my tone. Out of the ones that I've done, this one, with the exception of Mighty P. Kingman, this one's just as good, if not better. You could make the argument that, yeah, the other ones definitely have better food, you know, maybe a little bit more gory, brutal, whatever. But if we're talking an epic story told, I don't know if the other ones are really bigger than this film. I didn't say better, okay, because King Boxer's pretty fucking awesome, and Five Venoms is really fucking awesome too. So I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's bigger. And I urge you to check it out. I'm sure it's on, actually, I mean, I would just get the Arrow player or the box set, but if you're not going to pull the trigger on a $150 box set, then let's see where you can see it. Amazon, maybe on Prime, it says. Microsoft does their own movies now. What is this? Anyway, if you have Prime, Chinatown Kid's on there right now. So, but I wouldn't do that. I would get the Arrow player and watch it with the bonus features. And if we're being even more frank, I wouldn't do the Arrow player. I would buy the goddamn discs. Real talk, dude. Real talk. Because I guess, like, if you like this shit, how can you not know that the fucking Qual is so much better? So much better. The sound. Anyway, hold on a second. Let's talk about the bonus features on this bad boy. Listen to this shit, mate. All right. We got two versions of the film. Brand new 2K restoration, which I alluded to. Uncompressed original Cantonese audio for the international version with newly translated English subtitles. Can't tell you how important that is. Uncompressed English audio for the international version. Uncompressed original Mandarin audio for the alternate version with a newly translated English subtitles. Brand new commentary on the international version by Terrence J. Brady, author of Alexander Fusheng, biography of the Chinatown Kid. The commentary, that dude sounds cool. I want to hang out with him. Terrence Brady sounds cool. Select scene commentary from co-star Susan Shaw. And then another one of those Elegant Trail featurettes that I had mentioned in some of the previous installments. Fu Sheng, a featurette on the actor produced by Celestial Pictures in 2005. And then you got Hong Kong, U.S., German trailers. And I want to say that I've mentioned it before about the artwork on within this box set. Chinatown Kid may be one of my favorites. They're all fucking good. They're all fucking awesome. But I'm a sucker for some pinks and some purples. I'm a sucker for them. We learned nothing on this fucking show. Not a goddamn thing. Will you just see the movie? Shawscope, Volume 1. Shaw Brothers, Ellis Cinema, Puke. Arrow video, available now. Go on, Anthony.